On January 17, 1781, a British officer named Banastre Tarleton rode toward a small cattle grazing field in upstate South Carolina with over 1,000 of the best trained soldiers in the British Army. His target was a ragged force of American troops, half of them untrained militia who had a reputation for running at the first sight of a bayonet charge. Tarleton expected an easy victory, a quick slaughter, really. What he rode into instead was one of the most perfectly executed tactical traps in the history of warfare. Within an hour, his elite force would be shattered, and the man who designed the trap, a backwoods general with no formal military education, would deliver a masterclass that officers still study at West Point today. So how did a group of farmers and part-time soldiers manage to annihilate a professional British fighting force in under 60 minutes? South Carolina, in late 1780, was a nightmare for the American cause. The British had captured Charleston that May, taking over 5,000 Continental soldiers prisoner in the worst American defeat of the entire war. British commander Lord Cornwallis controlled most of the southern colonies, and loyalist militias were terrorizing patriot families across the countryside. The American Revolution was, by most reasonable assessments, on the verge of total collapse in the South. General George Washington sent Nathanael Greene to take command of the remnants of the Southern Continental Army. What Greene found when he arrived was barely an army at all, roughly 1,400 starving, poorly equipped regulars spread across the Carolina backcountry. Greene made a decision that most commanders would have called insane. He split his already tiny force in two. He sent about 600 troops west under the command of Brigadier General Daniel Morgan, a man whose military resume read like a list of the war's most brutal engagements. Morgan was not your typical general. He had no wealthy family, no aristocratic connections, no formal training. He had grown up poor in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, working as a teamster hauling supplies through the wilderness. During the French and Indian War, he received 500 lashes from a British officer for punching a superior. The scars covered his entire back for the rest of his life, and Morgan reportedly joked that the British still owed him one lash because the drummer had miscounted. That kind of man does not forget, and he does not forgive. When the revolution started, Morgan showed up with a company of Virginia riflemen and fought in nearly every major engagement of the northern campaigns, from the siege of Quebec, where he took a musket ball through the neck and kept fighting, to the forests of Saratoga, where his sharpshooters helped shatter Burgoyne's army. By 1780, Morgan carried a deep, personal hatred of the British military and something far more valuable than any textbook education. He understood exactly how ordinary men behaved under fire. This is the detail that made everything possible. Morgan had fought alongside militia at Saratoga. He had watched Virginia riflemen shatter British advances from the tree line. But he had also watched militia units panic and flee at Camden, where the British bayonet charge sent over 2,000 Americans running in minutes. Morgan knew something that most Continental officers refused to accept. Militia were not cowards. They were untrained civilians carrying muskets. Asking them to stand in an open field and trade volleys with British regulars was like asking a high school football team to hold the line against an NFL defense. It was not a question of courage. It was a question of capability. And that understanding, that honest assessment of what his men could and could not do, became the foundation of the trap. When Morgan learned that Tarleton was pursuing him with a fast-moving force of over 1,000 British regulars, dragoons, and loyalist infantry, he had a choice. He could run, try to link back up with Greene, and avoid the fight entirely. Instead, Morgan stopped at a place called the Cowpens, a well-known cattle pasture in the rolling grasslands of northern South Carolina. His officers were confused. The position seemed terrible. The broad river sat about 5 miles behind them, cutting off any route of retreat. Open ground stretched in every direction, offering no natural fortification, no dense forest to hide in, no swamp to slow a cavalry charge. Morgan chose this ground on purpose, and the reason was brilliant. He did not want his militia to have an escape route. He knew that if they could run, they would run. By putting a river at their backs, he removed the option entirely: fight or drown. But Morgan was not asking them to do anything suicidal.